radio1063.com.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome to Coast Vue, the show that celebrates coastal Mississippi, and really Mississippi for that matter, every single day, and the people who make this such a special place to live, work, and play. Hey, a friend of mine, Keith Kilpatrick, someone I graduated with, posted something from Sweet Southern Charm, and I just think it fits so well. Here's what the quote says. "I'm so thankful I had a childhood before technology took over." And here's what they said to go with that. Essentially this: growing children need to spend lots of time outdoors rather than cooped up indoors in front of a computer, television, or playing on their handheld electronics. We had a playroom growing up. It was called outside. Let me bring my friend Cal Curley, someone I'm going to actually visit with for the first two segments of the show today, because we haven't visited in a while, Kyle. And I saw that you had your title for today's show, The Talent. So you're going to be the talent today, buddy. How you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, you know, we did have a playroom growing up, and it was called outside, wasn't it?
Yep, sure was. That was my playroom as well. Get out, go.
I was fortunate to be raised in Bayview, and you know, my conversation with Farrell Allman and Roy Anderson and others. You know, when we went out to play, our parents would tell us when the street lights came on, "Come on home."
Yep.
And that's the way it was. But you know, even as adults, man, you know, even with the flurry of technology that you and I are surrounded by, we still have it in our soul to go and out and enjoy the outdoors, don't we?
Yeah, we do. You know, the older I get, the more ornery I get about actually going out in the outdoors. But once I'm out in the outdoors, I'm like, why don't I do this more? You know, I find myself in that pretty much that same mindset every time my son and I go fishing. I dread the walk, but once I'm there, I'm like, I'm not leaving.
It's up. You know, I say it all the time. You know, take the deep breath of the salt air, and you get reminded that coastal Mississippi is in our soul. It's in our blood. But you know, I do too. I like to just, you know, sometimes it's not about catching the fish. You just sort of being there and seeing the sunsets and the sunrises and the marsh and the. But you know, it's almost an out of body experience sometimes when we're fishing, isn't it?
It really is. I find myself sometimes making myself reel it in because I know I have to put bait on it. It's just I get comfortable. I sit there and I'm a people watcher. I like to take in the view. You know, lately we've been fishing Moses Pier religiously, and I like to sit there and face Highway 90 and just watch cars go by. I watch everyone on the beach from the end of that pier.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, it's interesting as you fish, especially at Moses Pier. That's an interesting one because it gives you the feeling that you're actually in a boat because you get to look back toward the coast, and it's just a cool spot, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. Growing up, I never fished that pier. I've always fished Long Beach Harbor, Pass Harbor. We used to fish the Gulf Park Pier that was set out in front of USM in Long Beach. That was a great fishing spot. We used to go just fish there all night and just catch big old sail top catfish just for the fight. And then somewhere along the line, we realized that they were actually pretty good to eat. So we started keeping them.
Yeah.
But, you know, we literally go out there, take lawn chairs, and sometimes we'd fish, sometimes we'd not. We just sit there.
Well, you know, hey, what's interesting, man, I said this on the show before, but I think my love of the outdoors, you know, that was taught to me by my father and my grandfathers, my love of the outdoors is what saved me because, you know, I was raised sort of in the turbulent 70s. And I remember, and I think about it today, and my parents were pretty brave, actually. But I used to go spend the night on Courthouse Road Pier, you know, when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And they let me. And, you know, when everyone else was sort of out gallivanting, I was on the end of Courthouse Road Pier catching redfish in the middle of the night or catching sharks in the middle of the night. And I look back on those times. First of all, the fact that they trusted me was really important. But but I spent, I fell in love with the outdoors. And, throughout my life, a friend of mine, Terry Waldrop, often used to say, because he's had a lot of success in his life in the marine engineering world. And he said one day he got a promotion. He told his boss, he said, look, don't misunderstand what I'm going to say, but I want this promotion because I need to put gas in my boat. He always kept it in perspective. But spend the night on Courthouse Road Pier. I mean, I think what happens is the more time you get to kind of explore coastal Mississippi, whether it's by boat or fishing the many public piers that we have here, you really get a sense that it's some of the best fishing in the world right here in coastal Mississippi. It's incredible, isn't it?
It really is. And, I've really enjoyed it this summer, really, mostly sharing the experience with my son. He's 13. And he never lets a fishing moment go by. He's like, Dad, let's go. Dad, prime fishing time at 11:30. And then I find out it's at 2 o'clock. I'm like, why are we here at 11:30? We want to be here before. And he's right. You sit and watch, I never was a tide chart person. I just went when we thought it was right. We never went in the middle of the day because it was just too hot. Now you've kind of watched these tide charts and you actually catch fish in the middle of the day. But, I was always early or late. But we go and, it's kind of eerie how on point some of these charts are, because we went on Sunday and, the peak time was like 1:30, 2 o'clock, and everything was running bait along Moses Pier from the time we got there at 11:15, and then it dropped off pretty sharply at about 3 o'clock.
Yeah, it's you can catch redfish, you can catch jack crevalle, you can catch Spanish mackerel and speckled trout and white trout and croakers and ground mullet and a wide variety of other opportunities. You talk about going with your son. The thing that I think that the glue that keeps my sons grow up and go on to pursue their careers and their own families, but the glue that keeps us together is the opportunity to go spend time in the Delta, deer and duck hunting, and the time that we spend on the boat together, fishing offshore or in the backwaters of coastal Mississippi. My son's coming home after work today and going to Horn Island and do a little bit of fishing. But you just, it's I feel for families that don't have that connection.
Right.
And the reality is, it's there. It's just, and you're never too old to learn to appreciate it and love it. I have several friends actually who weren't taught the love of the outdoors by their parents or their grandfathers, but have come to really appreciate it and love it. And now they're passing it on to their family. It's a very special thing. And it's the best way to sort of get away from the technology of the world, the technology world today that is so much a part of our kids' lives. I mean, it's just incredible how that's part of what they do, isn't it?
It really is. And, that's one thing that I've never made a mention of it, but I've noticed the fact that when we go fishing, he actually puts down the device. There's times he doesn't even bring it with him, usually stays in the car. We've been keeping it lately because there's been times where he would walk back to the bait house to get more live shrimp or a snack or something. And I'm like, just take your phone in case something happens or whatever. But for the most part, it stays in the tackle box. He doesn't even have it out. We keep it there to take pictures of every small fish we catch.
Yeah.
So we have, luckily, I had everything backed up, but I lost my phone on vacation. It pretty much died up until the beginning of this segment. It decided to come back on, and that was the alarm that we heard. Yeah. I still have a display, but it works.
You actually got to take a vacation. You see, for Kyle to take a vacation, since he's involved in operations and IT and does voice, he has to leave the area. He has to get out of here, or else if he doesn't, he's not going to be able to stay away from work. But you got a chance you went over to Florida, I guess, huh?
We did. We took a almost annual trip to Sandestin, and this is probably our third trip that we've gone there. And this was probably a different trip than what we've have done in the past. We actually did a lot more fishing this time. The last time we went 2 years ago, we did our first charter boat fishing with Desi, our son, and he loved it. He's been hooked ever since. And he wanted to go out front to catch something else besides redfish and We were catching the, I forgot the name of it. The other snapper, the one you find inshore.
The mangrove?
Mangrove.
Or beeliner?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we went this time and we went deep sea fishing again. We caught a boatload of red snapper, had a great time. And then when we weren't on the boat, we stayed there from Friday to Friday. So we went and fished that Okaloosa Pier. We fished the Santa Rosa Bridge Pier. I think it's called Thomas Pilcher Park. I always got the name completely wrong for the first couple of times we talked about it. And then from that point on, I just renamed it every time. But I think we probably fished 4 or 5 days out of the 7 that we were there. And it was great.
Well, I told you this before, man. My family actually lived on Santa Rosa Island. I was born in Birmingham, lived in Mobile, then Santa Rosa Island, Pensacola area. And then by the time we were here in coastal Mississippi. But I spent, my grandparents lived had a beauty salon on Cervantes in Pensacola the whole time I was growing up. So we spent so much time in Pensacola and, learned to fish on the Pensacola Pier and, king mackerel and lemon fish and big sharks. I mean, we had a lot of fun, and I've used a lot of those techniques here in coastal Mississippi, and that's kind of how I learned how to fish.
Yep. When we come back, it's kind of a funny story. My daughter, my son, they went and found a bait shop that was a little bit of a different bait shop. And I totally misunderstood their meaning of what they were telling me about it. So I'll have to tell you that when we come back after the break.
Oh, yeah. Are we, how much time we got left?
Oh, we're past time.
Okay. We'll see you. We'll continue our conversation with Kyle Curley when we get back.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on allentoyota.com.
If Alexa's part of your life, you've got one more way to access SuperTalk. SuperTalk Mississippi is now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Once enabled, just say, Alexa, play SuperTalk Mississippi at any time and start listening. It's that easy. Just one more way to stay informed and connected with your state. Learn more at supertalk.fm/Alexa. SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi. Now available on Amazon Alexa devices. Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen. Okay. Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
From outer space, visitors from another world. We've had contact with bug-eyed monsters.
This is actually a flying saucer.
Flying saucer?
I'm from another planet.
Where late nights are kind of weird.
Well, they must have a reason for their visits.
The unexplained, the weird, and the downright creepy. Coast to Coast AM with George Norrie. Late nights. SuperTalk Mississippi. 106.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, CasinoRadio1063.com. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. Listen, one of the amazing things about doing this show is I have the support of a content producer and Cammie. She's incredible. Kyle, my partner in crime, the daily producer of this show. I wouldn't have come in off retirement. I've said this before, if I didn't have support. I need people to sort of handle the scheduling and sort of the technology side of this show so that, well, all I've got to do is sit down and have great conversations with people and just stay focused on learning about my guests and having the best conversations we can have. But Kyle's been a partner in crime through this whole effort. And, obviously I couldn't do it without him every single day. Dan did a pretty good job of sitting in for you last week. He's coming on strong. I was really proud of Dan last week, but we missed you as always. Hey, let's come back. Let's come back to the, what was the bait story you were about to tell?
So we're not from around town. So we just kind of took to Google and looking for bait shops where we were at. And, they were either to the east or to the west a few miles, and we just chose they chose the first one that was really, I think it was 6 or 7 miles to the east of Sandestin, and we were just going to go fish that pier in Sandestin there on property. And we had already bought some at this point we hadn't bought any of the fish bites. That's a different story altogether. But they went and found one. It's called a bait shop called Stinky's, and it's down 98, and you turn south and it's down, I guess it's Santa Rosa Island down in that. There's a whole different vacation community. And they said, well, it's a bar that's got a bait shop behind it. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's like a bar. And then behind it, there's another building that's a bait shop. And so I just kind of dismissed it. They told me it was a bar. I just dismissed that part for the first couple of days until Desi and I were on a mission finding trip to look for another pier that we could fish. I said, well, let's go by Stinky's. And my thought was, I'm going to go find a bait shop and ask the people at the bait shop where a pier is to go fishing. And so he took me down there and walked in, and I opened the door and I'm like, wow, this is a bar. This is like old school hole in the wall bar. We're there in the morning. There's day drinkers already, a group of ladies there, and they're having a good old time. And literally right behind the bar, inside the bar, is a wall of fishing tackle. And I was pretty sure they had a little room off to the right that had some shirts and different apparel and their souvenir Stinky bars, shirts and hats and whatnot. I'm pretty sure there was probably a hair care / tire replacement wing of Stinkies. We bought some fish bites, and this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's just you're probably familiar with it, but I haven't seen it here. It's little strips of foam rubber, some type of manufactured crab smelling, shrimp smelling, squid smelling bait. You just cut them little squares and throw them on the hook, and it's the perfect artificial bait. So we bought a couple of packets of that, and we were leaving the bar / tackle shop. One of the ladies, they were having a discussion, and the bartender asked them what it was about, and she said, "You got a microwave here?" And well, before that, they asked her about beer, and they kind of said, "No, we're not Mick Ultra girls. We're more of Budweiser, whatever." And so then she asked about a microwave, and he goes, "Yeah, there's probably one in here somewhere. It might not be plugged in." She goes, "Well, I got a bag of popcorn in my purse. I want to know if I could heat it up."
Hey man, I've heard the name. I've seen someone with a Stinky T-shirt on before.
Yeah.
What a cool name for a hole in the wall bar.
Man,
but that's what's.
Yeah, it's the stereotypical hole in the wall bar, and they've got a nice restaurant next door that's unattached. And this place is just your stereotypical. If you eve ever been in Pass Christian to Riverside, back in the day.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought I was walking into with a bait shop.
It's so interesting though. I mean, and you know, when people take vacations to coastal Mississippi, there's so many neat little places to go, holes in the wall they can explore, and that's one of the neat things that makes coastal Mississippi so cool. They have this collection of these cities and communities, each with their own special sense of place. So much to explore, so many like nooks and crannies that have special things to tell us. That's the really neat thing. Hey, by the way, I mentioned that Dan did a great job last week. We had a great week last week. You remember Dr. John Kelly, who was the Chief Administrative Officer for the City of Gulfport.
Yes.
And he had a long career before and retired, and then Brent Moore asked him to come back in 2006, and he worked another 15 years as a CEO for the city. And what an inspiration that was. And, we're lucky to have Dr. Conger, as we're urging people to continue to get the vaccination and, reading the statistics from Lee Bond, the CEO of Singing River Health Systems. Dr. Congers has been the steady voice to make sure people have the best information possible with so much misinformation going around. Yeah. Dr. Conger has been a great friend to this show and to coastal Mississippi, hasn't he?
He really has. And, I find myself in different conversations every day, or usually just a kind of a bystander. And it's amazing how people continue to get their research and medical information from Facebook, and they make their decisions on it. And sometimes I can hold my mouth shut. Sometimes I can't. It's just, I get it. It's a personal right. And you don't want to be told to do anything, but at the same time, you've got to really use some common sense. I mean,
yeah, I know. The misinformation that's getting spread. I mean, sitting in this chair, people send me a lot of stuff, and man, you wouldn't believe the stuff they send me. A lot of it's Facebook Messenger, some of it they share on Facebook, but it's just flat misinformation. It's made to look like real news. Right. They have these people who supposedly know the conspiracy behind the situation, and they're spreading so much misinformation, and people are acting on that misinformation. The good thing about Conger when he comes on is he says, let's just talk about the facts. The good thing about Lee Bond and his newsletter that he sends out, where he says 95% of the hospitalizations are unvaccinated people. Yeah. That's the stuff we need to focus on, not the Wuhan conspiracy, and as Phil Bryant said earlier this week, when he gets the shot, he doesn't think somebody's injecting his chip in his body so they can be tracked. Phil Bryant urges people to get the vaccine, and I think when you talk to people like Phil Bryant and Dr. Conger and others, it reminds us that as long as we can get the right information, the most correct information to people, they'll make the right decision usually. Don't you find that to be the case?
Yeah, if it's just a matter of them getting the right information, and a lot of times when they have the wrong information and you try and present the right information, the rebuttal is always something far different than the research that they've been led to believe. It always comes back to, well, I'm not going to be told to.
I know. It's so sad.
Like, so, how many years ago was it when we were being told to wear seatbelts? Why do we wear seatbelts now? You get in your car and you're going to put your seatbelt on, right? Why? Yeah. Not because somebody told you to, because it saves lives.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Conger said the toughest thing for him to hear is someone who's in ICU who's begging for the vaccine. Yeah. And it's too late. Yep. And that's really unfortunate. Just to kind of shift gears, I had a terrific conversation with Dorothy Wilson. She has Gulf Coast Women magazine. She has done so much incredible volunteer work here in coastal Mississippi. Another woman who's, she says that her goal is to get women involved, especially women of color. But the truth is that so many people, men and women alike, are inspired by her incredible work. We're lucky to have people like her. And then I was so pleased to have Leonard Papania on the show. Leonard, after being the chief of police, is now the current chief administrative officer for the city of Gulfport. And what an inspiration he is. And then this week, man, I mean, what a great week. I mean, from Phil Bryant to the Frank Bertuzzi and his two sons, Jeff and Ryland, to talk about the FEB distributing story. Good Lord. I mean, 4 generations passing it on. And then Wendy Sweatman yesterday, and 3 generations of passing it on, with a mother who was just an entrepreneurial spirit, who's so focused on making that company successful. And her husband, Wendy Sweatman, Wendy's father, really worked hard to create Sweatman Security in this incredible company. But, it's so interesting, man. We keep getting, someone said, how are you going to, if you're having these long conversations with people, aren't you going to run out of people to talk about? And the truth is, the list just gets longer and longer, doesn't it, Kyle?
It really does. There's always people that pop up that we might not have thought about before that a guest from a previous show has brought up. And, you explore that avenue and you're like, wow, how come I didn't know that to begin with? And it, success breeds success.
It really does. And there's so many stories. I mean, like, again, the 1,000 points of light, it takes a lot of people working in so many different ways to build a great community. And what's so amazing about the people that we talk to, they may have found tremendous success in their lives in terms of their chosen careers or the businesses they started or whatever, but they always give back to the community. I mean, Wendy Sweatman's story is incredible. Frank Bertucci and his family's commitment to the community, and the list just goes on and on. But it takes people, as I often say, if you want to get something done, ask a busy person to do it. Thank God we have a lot of busy people on the coast because they're really focusing on following through. Anyway, it's been a great visit, Kyle. We'll continue to explore this amazing place and celebrate. It's been a lot of fun, hasn't it?
It really has. I've enjoyed every second of it from the very get-go. It's been challenging, all in the right ways. I think we had a conversation last night with a friend of mine at my other job at Chuckers that I've pretty much positioned myself well for technology and the future of the company by doing what I've done. And that's pretty much what you have to do these days. You got to
Yes, you have, man. You're going to stand the test of time.
Before you're in it.
You got to adapt. Hey, when we come back, it's Friday. We're going to have a great conversation with Jeff Duncan. We'll see you after this break.
.3 Casino Radio is here. Tune to 106.3 to discover all of our must-see attractions and everything that's happening at our 12 incredible casino resorts. Where to eat, where to stay, what to do, and where to play. 106.3 Casino Radio has you covered with everything you need to know to help make your visit here to the coast one you'll never forget. Turn on 106.3 Casino Radio or listen now on our website, casinoradio1063.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking very hard-to-find PPE items to make our community a safer place. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. They were even sending thousands of dollars of PPE supplies free to local schools in need with help from other local business leaders. The next time your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider a local company that supports your ball teams, cheerleaders, and area homeless. Consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply, the local guys that keep your prices fair, your service and selection excellent, and your health our business. Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, the future has arrived. It's 2021, and at J. Allen Toyota, we're here to serve you. Want to let you know that we have Allen's lifetime warranty on every new Toyota we sell. That also comes with Toyota Care. That's 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. We have a great rental department. Our service department's ready to take care of your current vehicle. We're rolling out J. Allen certified pre-owned for 2021. You got to come to I-10 exit 38 right here in Gulfport. You're going to love what we have to offer. When you think Toyota, think Allen Toyota.
Feeling down? Here's your prescription for a daily dose of good news and positive vibes. Good Things with Rebecca Turner. Every afternoon, Rebecca highlights all the good things happening right here in the state you call home. Daily exposure to Good Things with Rebecca Turner may cause smiling, feelings of positivity, happiness, and even laughter. When you experience these symptoms, tell your friends to listen.
Okay.
Weekdays starting at 2 p.m. here on SuperTalk Mississippi and now on Amazon Alexa devices.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. Talking to Paul Thorne, Mississippi true treasure, really incredible recording artist, singer, songwriter, has been doing it a long time, doing it the right way.
It's almost like a Forrest Gump thing because, I was a boxer, / I worked in a furniture factory, / I had a gig 2 nights a week playing my acoustic guitar in a pizza restaurant, / I was in the National Guard, and,
Wow.
All this stuff was going on at the same time. / I had a writing contract with Rick Hall and Fame.
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
SuperTalk Mississippi.
Just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
And now, it's Coast Vue with Ricky Matthews. Brought to you by J. Allen Toyota and AGJ Systems and Networks on SuperTalk 103.1 FM.
Welcome back to Coast View. And by the way, I hope you enjoyed that visit with Kyle Curley. We've been running so fast. He had finally got a chance to take a little vacation, but Kyle and I hadn't had a chance to catch up on the air in a while. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. He's a great guy. A lot of passion for coastal Mississippi. And as we talk about this generational stuff, whether it's the Bertucci's or the Sweatmans or the Andersons or whoever we're talking about, Kyle is kind of that guy inside this organization, SuperTalk Mississippi Media, kind of helping make sure we're bridging the gap from technology and information systems and all the stuff that he does. He's an amazing guy and a great supporter and producer for Coast View. So I appreciate you, Kyle. Now, were you going to say something, buddy? You can. Oh, you're muted. There we go. Come back on. Try that again.
Yeah, technology. The check's in the mail. Thanks for the kind words.
You're welcome. I bragged on about technology. It doesn't know how to use a mute button. Pretty amazing stuff. Anyway, hey, listen, this is Friday. We got a chance to visit with our friend Jeff Duncan. I used to say The Athletic, but I guess you're officially now with NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune?
Not quite. Officially on Monday, August 2nd, my first day. That's also the first day I'll be out at Saints training camp. It's the first day the Saints put on the pads and have a real practice for the first time. So looking forward to be my 22nd Saints training camp. So it's hard to believe all those years have added up.
Wow. You did a great job with the Athletic. You've been a great representative of the Athletic, but changes at the Athletic would have potentially brought you away from New Orleans, and you were committed to New Orleans. And I'm so happy for you that you got to land back at your old job as a columnist for NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune, and the Advocate for that matter, because you'll have, you've got this big statewide voice now, and you'll continue to do the work that you've done. You've covered the Saints longer than anyone else on earth. You're a member of the NFL Hall of Fame Selection Committee and many other honors along the way. So it's great to have you associated with Coast View, buddy. We really appreciate your friendship.
Yeah, likewise. And I'm excited for another season. And it's going to be fascinating, Ricky. The Drew Brees era is beginning, and I don't know what it's going to portend, but it's going to be fun to watch.
There's so much. The last couple of days I've been watching. We went from basically very little news or made up news. A lot of people just making news while the things were quiet. We went from that to like this flurry of news, Michael Thomas and all the stuff around that. But before we get to the Saints, obviously you said for weeks leading up to the selection of Willie Green as the new coach of the Pelicans that he was going to be the guy. And he is, of course, the guy. What's it feel like there? People, really excited about it. He's got one job, and he's got to keep Zion in New Orleans, and there's a lot around that. So, what's your take on this situation?
Well, he was very impressive at his introductory press conference on Tuesday. He really had a lot of optimism, as you would expect for a new first-time head coach. Got to meet his wonderful family. They love New Orleans. Willie Green played here a year back with the Hornets in the early days, so they're familiar with the city. But more than anything else, he's got so much energy and enthusiasm for a first-time head coach, and so it was refreshing to hear how he compared this Pelicans team to the Suns team he just left as an assistant that went all the way, of course, to the NBA Finals. He sees a lot of similarities in the development of the two teams and thinks that, I think to use his words, that the Pelicans are a sleeping giant in the NBA. So we're going to find out as he goes forward here, putting his staff together and getting a chance to meet with his new players, where this takes him, because it certainly is going to be fun to watch.
It will be fun. There's been some other troubling news that popped up in the last day or so. What's that? Yeah,
the second-year center, Jackson Hayes, who is a core piece of their developmental program here. The backup center last year was arrested. I don't know where the arrest occurred. I don't think it was in New Orleans, but has been charged, at least initially, with a felony assault of a police officer. There was a domestic disturbance. The police came to his residence, and there was an altercation. They actually left both Jackson Hayes and the police officer requiring hospitalization. So it's pretty disturbing, the early reports. I'm sure we'll know more over the coming days, but right away, a little bit of a mini crisis for Willie Green one day after his introductory press conference.
Man, do I hate to hear that. But we'll watch that closely, and hopefully Willie Green's got a short period of time to create a winner, because it's going to take creating a winner to most likely keep Zion Williamson here, don't you think?
Well, it feels like there's two different timelines here, and that's what's, I think, interesting about this plan. David Griffin, the head of basketball operations, of course, entering his third year on his third head coach now, he understands the pressure to be successful, not only because of Zion Williamson, also because of ownership and management, which have supplied him with tons of resources over the last few years to build a winner. And I think last year was a setback. He had to basically trade away his two top assets he acquired in the offseason, Steven Adams and Eric Bledsoe. And then he had, of course, to fire Stan Van Gundy, the coach he hired. So last year was really kind of a zero for David Griffin, a major setback in the progress of this franchise. So he's under the gun on one timeline to win, but yet I think he's building this roster the smart way, which is he's playing the long game. He's trying to build through the draft, which is what you have to do at a small market like New Orleans, but that could require time. And I'm not sure these two timelines marry up with how quickly David Griffin needs to win, and how this roster is being built to kind of sustain success over the long haul.
Let's shift gears and talk about the Saints. Big news over the last several days has been the fact that Michael Thomas is going to have ankle surgery. A lot have been written, man, that he was amazing until he got his money. Then he became a problem in the locker room, and his willingness to go out there and do the thing the way he needs to do it. Where do you stand with Michael Thomas at this moment?
Well, this is not good for anybody. I mean, it's not good for Mike Thomas. It's not good for the Saints. I don't know the answer, because right now there's so many unanswered questions about how it got to this point. clearly there's been some kind of communication breakdown between their star receiver and front office management. And that's unusual, Ricky. That doesn't happen here very often. That's one of the strengths of this organization. But there's some breakdown because this never should have gotten to this point to where he's not going to be available to start the season. I mean, he's too critical to what they're doing. I feel bad for whatever quarterback wins this starting job because their job's going to be much harder now without Mike Thomas.
And now they're having to think about, okay, Mike Thomas is not going to be here at the beginning of the season. We don't really know how long for sure he's going to be out. And because that's actually a critical surgery, right? I mean, they have to reconnect a ligament or something. What's the nature of that surgery?
Well, he had a high ankle sprain, and we always know those injuries are very finicky and take some time to heal. Why they didn't address it earlier this offseason, I have no idea. I mean, there's all kinds of speculation out there, but clearly there was a breakdown somehow. Whether they thought it was going to heal naturally, there should have been more communication between the organization and Mike Thomas. And from what I understand, the organization tried. He just would not return phone calls or texts. So clearly there's something bothering him with the team, and I'm sure they've gotten it hashed out here over the last few days, trying to reconcile this relationship that we know kind of hit the rocks last year when there was the altercation between him and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in practice that resulted in Mike Thomas being suspended for a game by the team.
Unbelievable. I would have never expected that. I would have never. Michael Thomas for so long seemed like this quiet force in the locker room that he was just, what was it getting the money that changed him? What happened?
Well, I don't think that's it, because if you remember, he got his contract right before the season in which he set the NFL record for receptions. He had a tremendous year, career year. So he produced after getting paid, but something clearly has gone awry. And look, his future here, I think, is very much in doubt long term. Now, I think he's definitely going to be here this next season. But beyond that, it would not surprise me to see him end up elsewhere. Or if they can get back on the same page, certainly they value his ability.
So now they're having to go out and think about who's available that can come in pretty quickly, and the season hasn't even started yet, to fill in for that sort of, that he's got a lot of catches that are hung up in that one guy. So what are they talking about?
Well, they recently signed Chris Hogan, a veteran player who played with Tom Brady in New England, got a Super Bowl ring. He's a veteran possession receiver who can do some of the similar things that Mike Thomas can do, some of the similar routes. But I don't think they're done there with just Chris Hogan. I think they're going to get into camp here, see how things develop among their young receivers, and then reevaluate things. Wouldn't surprise me to see them bring in another veteran before the start of the season.
This is Jeff Duncan of The Athletic, soon to be with NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. We'll come back after this and continue to talk about all the flurry of other news that's surrounding the beginning of training camp. We'll see you after this break.
SuperTalk.fm has a new look and is more informative than ever with expanded Mississippi news coverage, the latest Mississippi weather, Mississippi sports, and of course, the talk that's important to you. Every show, every podcast, and every late-breaking story. Constantly updating the news the second new developments happen. All in one place. The new SuperTalk.fm.
Hey, South Mississippi, it's Jay Allen at Jay Allen Toyota, and I got something new for you for 2021. It's the Jay Allen Certified Collection. What that means is we selected our very best inventory with under 75,000 miles, and they're 6 years old or newer. That comes with a multi-point inspection, a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty, and a 3-day buyback guarantee. So come check out the Jay Allen Certified Pre-Owned Collection right here, I-10 exit 38 in Gulfport, or on AllenToyota.com.
When COVID started, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply began stocking hard-to-find PPE items. When Amazon and other mega internet companies were out of stock or inflating prices, Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply was providing local schools and businesses vital PPE supplies at fair prices. When your office needs PPE supplies, office furniture, or products to keep your business operating, consider Gulf Coast Business Furniture and Supply. We sell that too. Buy local.
SuperTalk Mississippi, your new home for the Ben Shapiro Show.
We don't hold back. We never shy away from telling you the truth.
The most electrifying national talk show on air today.
We have the most important guests and the biggest thinkers in America.
Ben Shapiro, brutally breaking down the issues of the day.
From politics to pop culture, we take a look at all of it. So don't miss out.
Weeknights at 9.
For something new and unique in talk radio, take a listen to The Ben Shapiro Show.
On SuperTalk Mississippi. SuperTalk Mississippi.
It just seems to me people have so much invested in not telling the truth.
When you want the truth.
Simply because it might hurt some feelings.
And nothing but the truth.
Lose some subscribers.
You want the Gallo Radio Show.
I just think in this audience, you still believe that if you tell the truth, you come out ahead.
The Gallo Radio Show.
And if you tell yourself otherwise, you're lying to yourself.
Mornings on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Hey, I'm Steve Azar, and you never know who or what you'll hear when I spend a Mississippi Minute with my friends. We're talking to Dale Berra. Take me back to growing up and what it was like in the household with a dad like Yogi Berra.
You know, we grew up with his funny sayings. You know, I remember Dad managing the Mets, and me, Larry, and Timmy are watching the game on TV. And all of a sudden, two streakers run out of the stands on TV, and the camera slips away from them. So when he gets home, me, Larry, and Timmy say, "Hey, Dad, those streakers, what were they, boys or girls? We need to know." And Dad looked us right in the eye and said, "I couldn't tell. They had bags over their heads."
In a Mississippi Minute. Be sure to check out In a Mississippi Minute with me, Steve Azar, right here on SuperTalk Mississippi, the SuperTalk Mississippi app, and now available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher.
Talking to the people that help make the coast such a unique place to live. This is Coast View with Ricky Matthews on SuperTalk Mississippi Gulf Coast 103.1.
Welcome back to Coast View. It's Friday, so we have Jeff Duncan from The Athletic, soon to be with NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Training camp is starting. Boy, there's this flurry of stories about, you know, some say 6 new starters, some say as many as 10 new starters. But boy, one thing is for sure, there are a lot of unknowns still yet to sort of make themselves known to us in this training camp. Just a lot to think about, isn't there, Jeff?
Well, I did a little, research the other day after the news about David Onyemata's suspension, 6-game suspension. Couple that with the news with Mike Thomas being out. Ricky, just think about this. The 22 players that started for the Saints last year in their opener against the Tampa Bay Bucks in the Superdome, 10 of them now are not going to be in the starting lineup this season, almost basically half the roster. So it's a huge challenge for Sean Payton and his coaching staff, the leaders on this team. That's a lot of turnover, even by NFL standards. And I think the depth of this team is a major question mark. Mickey Loomis has talked about that. Things are really going to have to go right. The margin for error has been reduced drastically with this team. And we all know that injuries, it's not a matter of if they're going to occur, it's when. And I just really feel like the margin for error for this team, injury-wise, has been reduced so much that the depth is going to be a telling factor for this team.
You know, I mean, and, you know, you and I talked about this a lot last year. Next man up. The depth was there. They were sort of tooled to have, hopefully, the Super Bowl run in Drew's last year. And now, obviously, that didn't happen for all the reasons that we know now. And this next man up mentality, even though they're going to have it, obviously, is not going to be as fruitful, most likely. So, boy, if they get a couple of key injuries here or there, it could really change the destiny of this team this year, couldn't it?
Yeah, you just get the sense, again, Sean Payton is a tremendous coach. I mean, I would never doubt his coaching ability, especially in the face of adversity. It's when he really is at his best. He thrives in crises. But that said, it feels like a transition year. It feels a lot like New England last season, the year after Tom Brady left, and the team kind of they were competitive, but they hovered around 500 all year. That's what this season feels like. I would say that the Saints are more talented than that New England team. They have a lot more elite talent, but there's really not much of a middle class anymore because of the all-season attrition. You have some elite Pro Bowl, all-pro caliber leaders and players, and then you've got a lot of young players that are really unproven. So if some of these young players step up into more high-profile roles, things can turn out for this team because they do have enough talent. And, of course, the quarterback position is the ultimate question mark. Who's going to win the job, and how are they going to perform?
I got a note from somebody from Birmingham this morning, from Birmingham. And they were reminding me about some of what was in Jameis Winston's past. There are a lot of people who sort of followed his career, especially when early went high school. And he said, this particular guy was saying to me that, okay, I hear all of what is being written. He knew lease on life, new opportunity, knew all that. But he was just saying that, when you've got these kind of things, and he reminded me what those things were in their past, that when you've got a character issue that bad, you just don't fix that, it goes with someone. So Jameis still has a lot to prove, doesn't he? On and off the field.
Yeah, it's a great point. And I think sometimes I have to remind myself that these guys are young sometimes when they come in the league. There's maturity issues, and some players take longer to mature than others. I think the hope, if you're a Saints fan and if you're a Saints teammate and coach, is that he has matured, and that is in the past, and that he's gotten over the hump with some of these issues. I know he's been married now. He's started a family. Some of those things, life issues, can change people, and I think that's the hope. Everything I've heard since he's been with the Saints has been positive. Now we just got to see if it translates to on-the-field success. I mean, I think that's another question. I mean, you can want to be great, and you can do all the things on the field and off the field in practice that you need to do to be great, but you still have to do it on the field. I mean, I think of Bobby Bowden's great line all the time, if doing the right thing and discipline and all that were what won football games, Army and Navy would win the national title every year, right? I mean, it's not about that. Sometimes you've got to still be able to play and make the right decisions, and that's the stuff that's held Jameis Winston back.
So, we've talked about the quarterback battle in some great degree, and about the players that we may not have it or will not have at the beginning of the season. But what's another subtext of the training camp that you're following?
Well, I think the secondary, the fact that we don't know what's going to happen with Marshawn Lattimore's potential suspension, the fact that he did not get a long-term deal, neither did Marcus Williams, the safety. They just signed Brian Poole, a veteran player, been with the Falcons for a number of years. I'm hearing also that there could be some more potential discipline on the team, on the roster, and I'm wondering if his signing, Brian Poole, could portend maybe more attrition to the secondary, at least in the terms of suspensions. So a lot's up in the air right now. I think that secondary is going to be key to this team because there's a lot of talent there, but there's also a lot of uncertainty.
Well, I'm really looking forward to visiting next week, man, because you're going to be rolling your sleeves up Monday, be on the ground with these guys. You'll be able to make your own observations, and you have sources like nobody else has. So, man, you're going to be full of so many interesting anecdotes next week. I look forward to visiting, buddy.
Yeah, I can't wait. And we'll have my sunscreen on, Ricky. It's going to be a tough one.
Good for you, because it's going to be hot, hot, hot. Anyway, Jeff Duncan of The Athletic. When we start talking next week, you'll be from NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Appreciate your Friday visits, and we'll see you next week.
All right, have a great weekend.
You bet, buddy. Take care.